Hey everybody, I'm a condo owner. I own a condo in a sort of a suburban area. The thing is, just because you're a condo dweller doesn't mean that you can't get a little bit more prepared. For example, I got these stoves here. But the thing is, condo versus a house in my area, I would have to pay an extra $250,000 for a house of the same square footage that I would have to pay than I would pay for this place. And the thing is, I only owe $27,000 on this place, and there's a good shot that I can get this place paid off completely in about a year and a few months. So I'm thinking, I mean, it would be nice to have a nice big garden and everything, but for $250,000, you can buy a lot of groceries. And the ability to be totally debt-free, no house payment, no car payment, no credit card bills, no student loans, no absolutely nothing except taxes and utilities. That would allow me a much greater financial power than most anybody. So in any case, I picked up this stove about 8 or 9 months ago, and it's really convenient. But the thing is, in a survival situation, you won't be able to buy any more propane. So I ended up getting this stove here a couple months ago. This is a Coleman liquid fuel stove. You can actually use gasoline to run it. I used gasoline to run one of these things, something similar, very similar to this, in the first Gulf War in Saudi Arabia back in 1990 something. So basically, I would just get gasoline that they would use for the Jeeps, and I could run this stove with no problem. I would cook ramen noodles and heat up MREs, and whenever we would go anywhere, the first thing I would do would be to pull out the stove and start boiling some water for coffee. Instant coffee, of course. Another thing, when you're using a stove in a place where you might have like less fuel, like limited fuel, or in fact, I use this thing all the time whenever I make stews or soups or whatever. Just throw or cook beans. I cook beans in this all the time. Just throw your beans in and fill it up to about yay far with water, and with that much extra water, that actually decreases the gas from the beans. I have zero problems with gas, and I eat beans and rice almost every day. So basically, you bring it to a boil, grab the thing, throw it in this little outer container, flip it over, and even 12 hours later, I have a digital thermometer for my multimeter. I just tossed it in there, and it turned out to be like 198 degrees or something like that. And it only lost like maybe 15, 20 degrees from boiling. It's a very impressive device. So in any case, you could bring a stew to boil in 5 minutes, throw it in there, and 2 or 3 hours later, you would have a nice stew cooked, and you would only have to use about 5 minutes of fuel, propane, or gasoline. I could take this smaller now this propane stove here, I could run it inside very briefly, but no way in the world would you ever want to run the thing and go to sleep, because if you did, you might never wake up. Now with this thing here, you wouldn't even want to do that. It's a gasoline stove, major carbon monoxide emissions. People use natural gas stoves inside, and if I understand correctly, propane is just natural gas, petroleum gas with the propane brand name on it. Well, anyway, basically, you could actually take this. I would cook inside with it still. I would take it and throw it over here in this little decorative fireplace. A lot of condominiums and apartments have these little decorative fireplaces, but they are not designed to heat your house or your condo. So it would be okay to cook things in, or maybe make a little fire if you have somebody to make out with. But that's about all the use you could get out of something like that. But if I had that little stove in this thing, and it's small enough to fit, I would feel fairly confident to run it and cook on it inside, although never in the world would I go to sleep with that on. For power, it's always a good idea to have some backup power. If the lights go out, you could get pretty bored if you can't charge your tablet PC or your iPod or whatever, or your cell phone. So anyway, this is a little roll-around power supply. I bought it about 5 months ago. Haven't charged it for a couple months. Still reads full though. And you can do things like run lamps on it, although that takes a significant amount of power. You can see the thing's going. Well, pardon this little thing on my arm. I sprained my elbow in karate last week. I'm almost healed though. Okay, another good thing is to have a emergency bag. I've got like those emergency rations that are like 2,400 calories each. I've got about 3 of those, and I got water filtration, rain gear, wool sweater, nice hiking boots, things like that. Fire starters, all that. Anyway, then the cool thing about this bag is behind this little Velcro flap, you've got all the straps and shoulder harnesses necessary to make it a fairly nice backpack. And it's got like a metal frame behind it and everything. And it turns into just a more innocuous looking bag if you have it behind that little cover. Whenever you have a car, of course, it's a good idea to have a jumper pack, and I've just brought it in to charge it, so that way you don't have to depend on the charity of others to try to get a jump start, because sometimes that just doesn't work in the city. Oh, I love these little DeWalt I love DeWalt tools. I've got like massive battery packs for it. But these things, this is a DeWalt fluorescent light. It'll really illuminate a room. Problem with it, as soon as it goes dead, it goes totally dead in here in the dark. You have to have a backup light source. Got some gasoline cans that if I basically get into a situation where I might have a power problem, I could siphon it out of my car and throw some in here, and I could cook for like a month or two, probably a month, on one of these 1-gallon gas cans. Of course, I got some regular Coleman fuel too. Well, that's about all I got for you right now. So, see, the thing is, even if you live in a condo, basically, you don't have to be totally unprepared. You can always do something to make yourself a little bit more comfortable. Later.